Hey everyone, this is Dr. Jess here. I'm going to talk a little bit about our research protocol for SSD, so that way you have a little bit more information, and not only the information, but the how, but also a little bit of the why, okay? So we do have a research page linked here under faculty and staff. It is also linked under students. We do get approached by both students and faculty. And the process is the same for either. And it's important to know this in advance, okay? So the guiding principles are that IRB is a floor, not a ceiling, but that IRB is going to be required if you want to do research with our office. And guiding principle number 2 is that we're going to be thinking about, is this research fair to SSD, the individuals that SSD serves, and does it answer questions that SSD is also seeking answers to? And we do that in consultation with the community that we serve and our advisory board, okay? So best practices when working on anything related to research: decorum, earn trust, develop relationships, your personal accountability, and your collaboration, willingness, flexibility, openness, etc. Okay, so if you approach our staff, including our counselors or coordinators, they'll shoot it to myself and the AVP over this office, right? The director and the AVP are going to be the folks who can engage in this conversation with you. And that's just because we need to be able to sign off on it if we're signing off on it, and because both of us have actually, conducted research. So we understand the process that you also are seeking to engage in, okay? So there's 2 different flavors of research. There's research with our office, like the people working in our office, our counselors or coordinators. And then there's research requests involving our students, so flowing through our office to our students. So either of those involve a slightly different process. Of course, it's slightly more involved if you're seeking to do research that involves our students than if you're seeking to interview a counselor or coordinator. However, both are really, really involved. So the first thing to know is that you should allow a 3 to 6 month lead time. If that doesn't fit with your assignment or calendar or schedule, that's okay, but that might mean that you need a different research site, okay? But if you see that and you're like, that's fine, I'm dissertating, I've got time, this is really the place for me, great. Then here's a little bit to know about what that's going to look like, okay? So the very first thing that's going to happen is, for studies involving our students, you're going to provide to our office the research question, problem statement, recruitment protocol, and research protocol in detail. And then a meeting is going to be set up with me, right, or with the director at the time. Okay. Then we're going to meet together and see if we want to move it forward. If there's capacity, who's funded, how it gets funded, who gets compensated, how they get compensated, and what type of research this is and how collaborative it is, right? We know that populations affected by disability have been treated inequitably in research communities in the past. So we bring that history to bear in these determinations. If we move it forward, it goes to the community review board, okay? And we're going to ask them the following: does this research answer a question that could help inform you? Does it promote justice? What do you think of this research? Is there assistance available? Is this burdensome on the populations being studied? And is there any stigma that could be perpetuated by the research? Right? Is it valuable to you? We go to the community and we ask the community. Then we take their information and it goes back to the director and the AVP. Right? So then we think about those similar questions at another level, right? And we deliberate on this, right? Is it understandable? Does it require staff resources? Do we have them available? Does it comply with policy? Are there opportunities for individuals to be involved and to participate, etc., right? Then we consult with a researcher in the field and we ask, is this a good study, right? Is there justification for the study being proposed? And do you have any questions or concerns, right? So at every step of this process, the researcher needs to be prepared that there might be edits that come back before it moves forward to the next part. So that's really, really, really important. Okay. And if you are not a fan of peer checking, if you are not a fan of being flexible in that way, that could be another reason that this site is not the right site for you. But if that sounds amazing and you're like, I was going to have to set up peer checking anyways, so this is great because it's getting delivered to me, then fantastic. You know, this is going to be a really beneficial process for everyone involved. Okay. Lastly, it goes back to the community review board, right? Were your prior concerns resolved? You know, is this sounding like what you would hope it would sound like for it to move forward? Okay. So that's really important. That's the process if you're asking to do research on our students. Okay. For studies involving our staff or office or processes, you would still initiate by providing those research items to us and requesting a site letter. Okay. A meeting or orientation, you would meet with us and we would go through a similar process. The only difference really being that there would not be that same level of consideration about like, you know, are we not exploiting the population? Because the population then would really be our staff and colleagues and coworkers. So there's a different level of consideration there. Of course, we want them to be treated equitably as well. And so we're going to make sure to be looking at, are these fair disability questions? Is this the right population to be asking, et cetera? Okay. From there, study approval or declination will be delivered. If approved, then the process continues, right? You get a site letter, you go through IRB, you provide us IRB approval, etc. If not approved, you always have the right to appeal in writing with us, and we will absolutely consider your appeal. This is informed by research. And, you know, we're really proud that we made it a point to build in a process of community checking and peer checking to make sure to take care of the populations that we're serving, be it our colleagues or our student population, right? So if people want to participate in a study, it's their right to participate in an equitable study. If we have the resources, et cetera, to assist you with that. If they don't, if it's exploitative, we need to have that conversation before the study launches through our office. So that really is the purpose of this protocol. And I'm really happy that we were able to take a minute to talk about it here today. If you have any questions, please reach out to our office anytime. The email is ssd@csusb.edu. Thanks so much.